By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Yea, we were chiefing that lawpack.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The El Pearly Show. So, the last video I made, the New Vegas Old Real Blue Smoke Spots video, did really well, so I figured I would go ahead and make another one. I figured I would go ahead and do Honest Hearts, just because I played through Honest Hearts very recently, and I haven't played through Dead Money in a while. I do want to do a Dead Money video, though, so I'm going to be playing through Dead Money on stream next, and then I'll be making a Dead Money Smoke Spot video after that. So check out my stream if that's something you would be interested in, but enough shilling. Let's go ahead. We'll get on with the video. Zion Valley. Once known as Zion National Park, but not really applicable once the nation in national has ceased to exist. However, by nature of being a former national park and not an evil science dome filled with rejected experiments and robot brain monitor people, it's a much more relaxing environment to have a smoke in. It's nice to be surrounded by nature instead of monuments to man's cruelty and greed. Anyways, for this video, since Zion's locations are much more grounded in reality, we're gonna start off with stuff that you could very feasibly just go on a hike to find or something, and then as the list goes on, we'll move on to the wackier stuff. Sorry for the big number fans out there. We're not going to be doing numbers today. I'm sorry for all the number fans. We're going to start off the list with Caterpillar Mound. Caterpillar Mound is a really simple option. You've pretty much got a rock for shade, a tree for shade, an amazing view of the river, and that's pretty much it. Nothing crazy here. There's usually no enemies here, and it's actually pretty close to the Sorrows camp, so you could maybe invite Fine Shit Waking Cloud for a picnic here or something. I guess it's technically right next to the Sorrows campgrounds as well, but including an abandoned campground in a smoke spot video, it just feels kind of cheap. It feels like a low-hanging fruit, I guess, too easy. I don't know, I guess it's in there. The elevation at Caterpillar's Mound gives you a really nice view of the water too, though. You would kind of have to wade your way through some water to get to Caterpillar's Mound, though, so I guess just kind of a preference on how wet you're willing to get during your smoke. Next up on the list is going to be North Fork Bridge. This one is pretty similar to the Caterpillar's Mound, where it's a pretty natural, pretty grounded smoke spot. Well, not grounded literally, bridges are suspended in the air. I originally picked East Fork Bridge for this spot, but I think North Fork Bridge is actually a lot better because there's a lot less enemies, plus it's a lot better view, so it's kind of a no-brainer. I think just smoking by the river on an abandoned bridge would be really chill, and this is basically your best option, considering the other bridges are either covered in bear traps or infested with cazadors. Whitelegs do spawn at this bridge occasionally before you beat the DLC, but they're soylent drinking mosquitoes, so we're not even going to worry about them. How did New Canaan even fall to these people to begin with? They're made out of silly putty, bro. Moving on from North Fork Bridge, you're not going to believe it, we've got another bridge! At least I think Southern Passage could be called a bridge. I think that's what this is. I don't really know what else you would call it. As previously mentioned, I like smoking on bridges just because it'll usually give you a very nice view of something. I think the vista at Southern Passage is actually very good looking, and I wouldn't mind burning one here for sure. Unfortunately, I think I might get a little bit of PTSD if I did burn one here. The entirety of Happy Trails Caravan was slaughtered here, if you all remember. How could you forget? We've got to come back and smoke a blunt with the ghost of Jed Masterson. I'm actually not going to apologize because he's pretty much just doing his Lee Everett voice here.
Howdy, friend. Heard my little broadcast, did you? Dad told me he bought that TV to watch baseball in here, but I caught him watching his stories more than a few times.
And I guess we've got to come back and smoke a blunt with the ghost of Ricky as well.
You want to know what I do, bud? Anything I fucking want!
Does Ricky get to be a ghost? I know he's going to hell, but I don't know if that influences whether or not you get to be a ghost or not. Anyways, moving on. Last up for our outdoor smoking spots is going to be the Red Gate. It is a little bit of a climb, but it's got two different views that are absolutely amazing, giving you a nice choice between these two different vistas. Not to mention that this is the final resting place of the survivalist, so I imagine you might be sparking it up with his ghost too. I feel like that might be sacrilege to some people, but imagine sparking it up with Randall Clark's Force Ghost in a perfect world, right? The only downside to the Red Gate is that it's pretty deep in White Lake territory, plus bighorners will show up here sometimes, but other than that, it's still a very solid place to get high enough to talk to Joshua Graham's boss. The first interior location we're going to be stinking up in Zion is the Fallen Rock Cave. This one is kind of a shoo-in for this list, as it's right across from the Dead Horses camp, meaning it's one of the first locations you can access as you progress through the DLC's main questline. This damp, dark cave has a cozy little room in the back with a workbench, reloading bench, bed, and campfire. Unfortunately, the cave is loaded with traps, meaning you probably shouldn't smoke before you go in here and clear the place out, or you might end up with a big hole in your chest. But if you do clear this place out, it's a nice little haunt. It's got 2 exits, and I like that. You don't see that a lot in this game. I felt kind of obligated to include this one because some people consider it kind of an unofficial player home for Honest Hearts. Me personally, I've never needed a player home for Honest Hearts because the DLC is like a fucking hour and a half long. It's like asking if you can stay the weekend at my house so you can watch a 90-minute movie. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Two Skies Cave is going to be the next cave on today's list today. It's a little bit more out there than Fallen Rock Cave, but I think it's definitely worth it to go out there. If you can deactivate the generator and unlock the door, you'll be treated to this humble little abandoned survivalist stash, complete with an underground water source. Given that the courier can drink this water with no radiation or side effects, I'd say it's clean. Having your own underground cave base to get water out of would be pretty fucking sweet, honestly. Although at the same time, I think having fresh water in the same airspace as you would probably be really smelly and also slightly unsanitary, but considering you'd be hotboxing that fucking cave anyways, I doubt you'll care how it smells. Smoke on the water. Do, 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 do.
So yeah, you're gay.
Moving on from Two Skies Cave, Zion Ranger Station is going to be the next entry on this list. I did kind of overlook this one at first, but then I realized it would kind of be a sweet spot for a group sesh. Abandoned Ranger Station? Hell fucking yeah, dude. Sometimes there's bark scorpions and geckos here, but that's pretty much like the in-universe equivalent to like a raccoon or a possum or something, so I think you'd be completely fine. There's plenty of seats, a picnic table outside, a coffee pot, a refrigerator that doesn't have power. Yeah, it is an abandoned building for everything that entails. Still, definitely pretty cozy, definitely a great smoke spot, and gets points for being indoors. Anywhere that has 4 walls where you've got Yao Guai and Cazadors lurking outside, I think definitely gets points for that. Last up on the list is going to be the Eyrie. I mentioned that Zion Ranger Station would probably be like the best spot for a group smoke sesh, but I think the Eyrie would take the cake for the best solo smoke session spot. This place is a unique ranger station, with the name and location implying that it's the nest between all the other ranger stations in the park, which is really cool. I only know this because of the wiki. I didn't figure that shit out by myself, I'm not gonna lie. The Eyrie is really cool and has all of the general facilities of a ranger station, but also has these cave paintings near it that are really fucking cool. There's also not enemies anywhere near here to my knowledge. Imagine looking at either of these cave paintings while puffing on something, or camping in the ranger tower up here. Hell fucking yeah. I think any of the ranger towers in this DLC could go on this list somewhere, but I think the Eyrie definitely is a step above them just because of the cave paintings nearby, and it kind of has a cool name. I don't fucking know, man. You can get a really cool view from here though, and all of the ranger stations as well, but I figured I would put the Eyrie at the end just, you know, fuck it, why not, right? Anyways, that about covers it for today's video. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for the Dead Money Smoke Spots video. Check out my stream, and see you next time.